It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Ron Rothberg. Ron owns Art Bikes Jax, based in Avondale. Art Bikes is a fleet of unique electric bikes painted by local artists that are used on guided tours to discover the art, architecture, and history of historic Jacksonville. Ron is a leader in Jacksonville's cultural tourism that includes mobile-based cultural storytelling on the Art Bikes Jax App. I think Ron gave me a little tongue twister for the morning. Art Bikes is Ron's re-wirement. Oh, I love that word. Art Bikes is Ron's re-wirement career after spending most of his professional life in media and advertising. Welcome to UCJ, Ron.
Hi, everyone. When Peter asked me to speak, I was going to speak about cultural storytelling and how we use these stories of the past to connect us, and it oftentimes leads us into this space of DEI and how important that is. So I had a whole thing that I do when I talk to people, but we were on an extended walkabout and my father passed away. And one of his caregivers was Kelly Racine. She was one of the angels from hospice who really was such a great gift to have near the end of my father's life. And we were in Vietnam when my father passed. And so I changed gears, and I'm going to deliver you these words that came when we were on the other side of the world when he passed. So my father passed away peacefully on August 12th. We received the news while we were on holiday in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, literally the other side of the world. He was 93 years old. He had a remarkable life. I wasn't sad that I wasn't there to say goodbye at the end. In fact, we were steadfast in taking our 2-month walkabout. He needed his space to pass. He wanted us to take the journey. He applauded it. He made sure we were going to do it. I've always felt that we are always where we're supposed to be. Perhaps it's called living in the present, karma, who knows? We'll never know until it's our time. And this moment, it was Dad's time. He loved to travel, but the last 2 years of his life, he was bedridden. While grounded in his physical form, his mind would take him to so many of the places he traveled throughout his life. Our visits would involve discussions about his dreams, his very vivid dreams that took him to various points on the map, listening to the opera in Rome, to a local pub in Scotland, getting absolutely smashed on kava root in Fiji. Some of the dreams were dark, harsh memories that were hard to process, trauma that needed to be dealt with before finishing his journey home. There were many nights that I would receive a call from him asking me to help him get home. He was lost in his mind, confused about how he got into a cave or on a boat or in a forest or all alone on a street by himself in downtown Jacksonville. He didn't suffer from dementia, but he was often lost and confused. He didn't leave his bed, yet he would describe to me where he was in great detail, and fearful that he would not find his way home. I didn't try to correct him. Rather, I leaned into these visions. And thank you, Kelly, for helping me through some of these things. And I asked him to give me more details about where he was, what he saw. I asked him what year it was. I asked him if anyone was with him. I just let him run through his thoughts. In some ways, I was trying to understand what brought him to those places. What was he searching for? Many times it felt like he was accessing files from deep inside his mind, a mind that was old and didn't work like it used to. It was like an old filing cabinet filled with drawers and spring-loaded, and the drawers were popping open randomly, like a whack-a-mole of memories kept appearing in his mind. Finally, after several minutes of conversation, look, at 2 in the morning, I was ready to go back to bed. I would bring him back home. I would ask him to find his wall, filled with his pictures of his wedding, his children, his grandchildren. Can you see your wall? Can you see your pictures? Yes, It's okay, Dad. As long as you have your phone, I can find you. You're safe. You're loved. You are good. Dad's passing was met with grief and relief, two similar words that hold entirely different meanings. There's a new word that was coined recently in the New York Times, grief, combining both of those words. I felt grief. It was time, and I was happy for him. He was ready, and we talked a great deal about his passing over those several weeks before we left. The next day, we left Vietnam and traveled to Siem Reap, Cambodia, where our itinerary took us to some of the most amazing and extraordinary temples on the planet, the temples of Angkor Wat. Each temple was a bound book, a series of encyclopedias that had been translated and worshipped over the years. The stories were told of kings and rulers and people and conflicts and battles and conquests, the loss, grief, and belief, the endless suffering of civilization. There are two types of temples that we explored, Hindu and Buddhist. The Hindus came first, then the Buddhists, and then back and forth and back again. Different versions of the same story that have been told all around the world. You're born, and you die. Now what? The Hindus were ruled by three gods, the creator, the protector, and the destroyer. Buddhists follow the teachings of their beloved Buddha, who lived his life by searching inward and by doing good things for people to receive good karma in the ultimate quest to be worthy of nirvana eternal. That Buddhist prayer was perfect so that we don't add suffering to the world. We live and we die. And in the middle of life and death, these temples were built and ultimately abandoned for over 500 years. This ever-ending, never-ending story around us was going on as I was processing the loss of my father. Dad was raised in Judaism, but was a devout atheist. I remember the first time he shared this belief with me. I was preparing for my bar mitzvah, and I was struggling. I wanted to quit. I didn't want to do Hebrew school anymore. He said, "You can't quit." I don't believe a lot of these words either. A lot of it makes no sense to me, but you have to do this because there's not that many of us left. We left the temple shortly after my bar mitzvah. Dad took some of the prayer books with him along the way so that we would observe the holidays at home. Dad would select the practical prayers that made sense to him. Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, coming up in a week or two, by the way, was a time to think about how to be better in the new year. Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, was time for goal setting. What do you want to accomplish this year? Dad was big on asking that question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Our dad, the eternal educator. Dad's entire career was in education. He taught teachers how to teach, and he was really good at it. It was his passion. If he lived in the 12th century in Asia, he would have been celebrated as one of the masters. He would enter the temples through special entrances, reserved for the masters, highly regarded and respected for their knowledge and their wisdom. He would have been able to access the royal libraries behind the royal wall. And after he passed, he would have a tablet inscribed with the details of his life, honoring the master who devoted their life and their studies and their students. Pay teachers what they're worth, damn it. He would always say with conviction, death is the end, that's it. In those last years, perhaps he was questioning his faith or his lack of faith. Perhaps something was troubling him about his life. Had he done enough to reach nirvana? Would he receive a blessing in the book of life? Have any of us ever done enough? Perhaps that was the demon he kept seeing in the middle of the night. On the other side of the world, Dad was at peace. I was sure of that. But I was still processing his loss while surrounded by the thundering echoes of these ancient histories still chattering their stories from the past. These grand temples left me humble, these monuments to their beliefs, these troves of ancient data looming all around us, humble. I felt like I was saying goodbye to my father for the last 2 years of his life. So when we received the call in Ho Chi Minh City, it was met with much more relief than grief. And I carried that feeling with us during that time in Cambodia. Our Cambodian guide, Reet, was also a teacher. The largest secondary school in Cambodia, with around 5,000 students. Riet taught us so much about his country and his people. He told us how he survived the Khmer Rouge regime and the killing fields. I knew a little bit about these horrific events, but hearing him talk about surviving by eating scorpions and tarantulas made it very real. Travel is indeed the best teacher. So is my dad. The ongoing story of life, told all around the world, life and death and belief and perhaps relief, depending on how you pray and how you live your life. Those demons who visit in the middle of the night, do you look them in the eye and confront them, or do you close them for fear of what you may see? As our time in Cambodia came to a close, the reflections of my father's life stayed very close to me in every temple and every ruin. I felt sure, as I often do, that we are all where we need to be. I was almost like I was wandering along within one of my father's late-night hallucinations, trying to make sense of what life would be without him. Still, our journey continued. We left Cambodia and flew to Chiang Mai, Thailand, to explore another chapter, told from a different perspective, shining another prism on the arc of our existence. But we were staying in 4- and 5-star hotels, so it was pretty cool. Our guide, Angie, greeted us at Chiang Mai Airport, and I would tell Christine, I knew she was giddy, my wife. It was our first female guide. Angie was from Chiang Mai, a lovely city in northern Thailand, at the base of the mountains and along the Ping River. Here we would discover many Buddhist temples, there in the old city of Chiang Mai. Our tour was on Sunday. This particular Sunday happened to be a day of worship in the Buddhist temples. Worship days rotate based on the lunar calendar, so our karma and our timing was good as we visited temples with monks who gathered in prayer. A word about monks. My wife, Christine, is a monk fangirl. She loves monks. Her phone is filled with pictures of monks. Monks on motorcycles. Monks in the 7-Eleven. They have a lot of 7-Elevens, and I hope to God that they are spared Buc-ee's. But we went to the temple, and Angie explained how we could leave prayers for good karma and good wishes. There are figures of the 12 animal gods that are worshipped for their wisdom. You can find your sign based on the year you were born, or if you go to a Chinese restaurant, on the placemat. Christine is a monkey. I'm a rabbit. Early in the morning, I told Angie about my father's passing 5 days earlier, and she suggested that we receive a blessing from one of the monks to guide my father on his passage. We picked up the chart with all the years and all the animals. The chart stopped at 1936. My father was born in 1932, so he outlived the chart. Dad would have found this amusing and probably would have muttered, "That's ridiculous." Angie understood what a gift it was to have my father for 93 years. She'd already lost her mother, and her father was not in good health. The temples each had their own unique story. This particular temple was open for prayer, and there was a short line of people waiting to receive blessings from the monk. I purchased an offering package for the monks. It was filled with snacks and toiletries, as well as a fresh razor. Oh, does Christine love a well-shaved monk? It was wrapped in clear cellophane and felt like I was holding a housewarming gift. I also put an offering in an envelope and put my father's name on the envelope, and Angie wrote Bob Rothberg in Thai lettering underneath it. Angie briefed me on the process. You place your offering on the plate, you get a small pitcher of holy water, you'll pour the water into the bowl, and then when you're done, you pour your water into a larger bowl that contains the water from all the blessings of the day, like a water ceremony. I think you guys do. I remember that from Buckman Bridge. I was a bit confused and tried to remember what to do, but I was ready. We waited for the last people in front of us to receive their blessings. It was my turn. I sat in the chair in front of the monk who was sitting above me. I bowed my head, took the water, poured it into the bowl, and placed the bowl in front of me. I looked down with my hands clasped in front of my forehead. The monk began his prayer. The words were flowing from his lips, sentence after sentence. He chanted a reverent song like a cantor from our synagogue before my father made off with our prayer books. I didn't understand the language, but every so often I would hear the words Bob Rothberg. More chanting, more prayer, more words, then Bob Rothberg. And as he was praying, a gong was sounding behind me. My eyes were closed tight, my hands clasped over my forehead, my head bowed down, giving the blessing, gong, gong, Bob Rothberg, gong, gong. And I prayed, you are safe, you are loved, you are good. And I kept repeating those words in my head, you are safe, you are loved, you are good. And the prayer from the monk was showering over me, Bob Rothberg, gong, gong, you are safe, you are loved, you are good. And as the prayer continued, my relief turned into grief. Deep, empty feeling of loss settled over me into my stomach, and I started to cry. The first real tears I have shed since my dad passed 5 days earlier. Gong, you are safe. Gong, you are loved. Gong, you are good. The prayer was finished. The monk tied the string bracelet around my wrist, and I rose from the chair, holding my bowl of water. I poured the water into the awaiting bowl, combining my water with that of the prayers of the morning, a shared cauldron of what we hold sacred. When combined, our prayers come together. We are all one. The water connects us. Perhaps we all return to the water. Angie led me away from the altar where I was completely overcome with emotions. Tears were flowing, tears of loss, tears of joy, tears of relief, tears of belief. Christine held me, and I sobbed in the shadow of the Buddha in a temple on the other side of the world where I felt very much at home. I will forever be grateful for my father, for our travels, and for the journey which seemed to have delivered us to exactly where we needed to be at exactly the right time. We are safe. We are loved. We are good. Thank you.